hate this so much.
So Nicole's already having a good time.
Yeah, I feel a little guilty, I'm not gonna lie, because I feel like you titled this Freeform Erotica Jam,
Mm-hmm.
and I picked 2 books that are not erotica. They're just making me mad.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think the reality is that we're necessarily having to redefine erotica as we go. Because if we just read the exact same, like, okay, can you grab me the stack of books on the right
Yeah.
off of our dedicated? I wouldn't call it a dedicated erotica bookshelf. I would call it a dedicated, like, fucked up books bookshelf. No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
So, like, these are the kind of like pulp romances we have, and I'll give credit to the pirate one. It is a little bit thicker, but
It's not about the size of the book, Kelly.
hmm,
It's about the way the words move you
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Is that
So
another cowboy one?
yeah, this is the one that well, when we were reading it live at the festival, we didn't quite get into anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was thinking of saving it for our cowboy adventure we're doing on the side, but honestly, so I was like, we got to give this book another crack. And
Ew.
when I got to, so here's a thing you'll notice. So I did find the sex scenes in these, like these 2 regular romance novels.
Those are your notes.
Yeah. So if you see where the stickies are, um,
That's like pretty far in there.
right, it always happens. So I think you've been here for this discussion before, but this is how the guy at the bookstore explained to me is like, you have erotica and you have romance,
Mm-hmm.
and romance is a lot more like build up and implication, but so far they all or at least the ones I've picked up all have like a fuck scene in them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you have to wait until the end of the book every time. Like you have to get 85% of the way through basically
Yeah,
before people finally.
that's fair. That checks out. I read Outlander. I was gifted it by my grandmother, which is the most awkward way to receive a romance novel with a fuck scene in it. Um, because then you have to read that fuck scene as a 16-year-old girl, thinking the whole time that your grandma has also read that fuck scene.
Right.
But it was. I remember being like, "This it was a ways in there for sure." And I don't want to say that as a 16-year-old I skimmed through the entire book until I found the fuck scene, but I definitely did that.
I mean, this is literally what I'm doing as a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like glass houses here.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did we have no plan, to be clear, for how this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We just have a big stack of weird books,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, even just before we started streaming or recording, like you were already so excited about the stack of books, and I'm like, okay, well, this is going to go well because. So why do you why don't we walk through what you were drawn to and why you were drawn to it and kind of.
Yeah, so the first book we have here is Make Every Man Want You, which I certainly could have used as a younger, less married woman. Because
Not unmarried, just less married.
just less married, slightly less married.
Talk for a while because I'm gonna mute my mic and eat pizza.
Okay. Yeah, so I was like, pick this one up because I was like, this seems like it would be damaging and problematic. So I picked that one up first, and then I thought, after we make every man want us, then we're probably gonna need to turn them down for sex. So I picked up this one, which is a book of one-liners to feed your boyfriend when he tries to pressure you into sex.
Yeah, you got to hit him with the old 1-2.
Yeah. It looks very 70s. Really liking the fucking sick bell bottoms and yeah, these like boots that aren't quite cowboy boots. Yeah. Anyways,
I mean, not quite cowboy is a big part of the vibe of this show.
that's a big part of the vibe at my wedding too. Yeah, so part of the reason also that I was drawn to this book is because I looked at the dedication and it says, this book is dedicated to Josh. I love you. So let's just throw that out there. That's a little little Easter egg for you, Josh, my dude.
That's right. We do love Josh. Did you tell him we're streaming?
I did. I told him when I invited him, and he said, "Ugh, Kelly's house."
Yeah, we'll
That
just send
guy?
him the link.
I did text him and tell him that we were streaming. So.
Oh, okay.
Or
Do you still have my phone?
Do I still have your phone?
Yeah.
From like an hour and a half ago when.
I got you to text David like a minute. Oh, you texted from your phone.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
Is it up your butt?
It might be. Can you check?
Looked up your butt? Yeah, for sure. Bend over and goatsy it for me.
Okay. Well, where the fuck's my phone? This is gonna be great content. Can you call me real quick?
Yeah. It's all right. No one's watching yet.
Yep.
The pressure's on though.
That's why we edit shit up.
Yeah, exactly. Just fix it in post.
Leave in the kitchen.
J. Kelly. It's ringing.
Yeah, we're good.
Cool. So I immediately flipped to what I think is going to be the most damaging and problematic chapter.
Damaging in what way?
Damaging in that, like, if a young woman were to read this, it would and try to base her life and personality around it. It would probably make it worse.
Okay.
It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Unattractive Women, or Obstacles to Making Every Man Want You.
Yeah, you had pretty much the same thought process when I saw that chapter title.
Yeah.
So have you read it at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I did skim through the 7 things. Yeah. So another name for this chapter could be Ultimate Man Repellents.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna
keep going. I'm just gonna call Ian.
Yeah, I'm just gonna skim through this. So the first one, unattractive habit 1, neediness, the ultimate man repellent. God forbid you want to be around your partner.
But neediness could be bad, right?
I mean, yeah, if you're like, yes, I get that. There's like a point at which you need to be like self-sufficient. However, this is very much the problem that they're identifying here is not neediness, it's the appearance of neediness. When was the last time you heard a guy say, guess what? I met this really hot needy chick last night. Chances are never, because people don't talk that way. That's because being needy is the ultimate man repellent. If you believe you're incomplete and look to a relation, okay, well that's fair.
Right.
If you believe
so you're also having the same reaction I had when reading it. But do go on.
If you believe you're incomplete and look to a relationship to solve your problems, that is being needy. Men will pick up on this neediness and will effectively repel them. So, yes. So so
you're agreeing. Okay.
So the base of this is you shouldn't go out and try and find a man because you feel like you need a man to complete yourself. Yes, true, fair. However, the concept of this book is that they want you to not do that, not for your mental health and for your own well-being, but so you could find a fucking man.
Yeah. I mean, there is maybe a little bit of like inherent, I guess, hypocrisy and like, here's how to make men want you is like, don't worry about them wanting you.
Yeah. Yeah, I went out and bought this book called Make Every Man Want You.
Well, I didn't buy it. I got it for free.
Because I don't know. I mean, like the woman that it was probably written for.
Yeah.
It's so that I could, I don't know. It just feels kind of fucky.
Did I tell you the story of how I got this book and the Matchmaker book?
No.
So I was browsing free Kijiji, as I do.
Yeah, as you do.
And
oh no.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so it was like free books. And I looked at them and I was like, so again, this is, you were saying these are, not quite erotica. I wasn't looking for them. It's like when you find that perfect person and someone's like, it's when I stopped looking for someone that I found someone. It's like when I stopped looking for the right books, when I found the right books. And so I was just looking because I just find in general, the free stuff on Kijiji is hilarious. People will be like, trampoline with hole through it, lightly used. please, like, no, I will not deliver. And it's like, well, this is not the issue with the trampoline with the hole in it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's a tangent. So, so I think it was exactly these two books was a listing from this person, and so because I am a caveman who does not have data on his phone, I always have to do this on Kijiji and say, okay, can I text you? Because then I can like let you know I'm at your house. Like I don't have a data plan. Don't throw me in jail. And so I get this guy's number, and I'm texting him like, hey, like, can I come by at this time? And like, this is where you are. Okay, like, yeah, it's across the city. You know, it's crossing the river, like David refuses to do. And
He
but
didn't say refuses. He says that he can't, like a vampire.
Oh, right. So I was like, I think I said, oh yeah, I'll be there in like 22 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out really well that this day that I planned it, like I just had to make like a quick turn and then go to this gathering I was going to, like 10 minutes from this place. So I was like, this is perfect. But from this guy's perspective, I drove 20 minutes to pick up these two books. So he was a dude.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you know, my name's Jeff. So I go out of there and I get to the apartment building, and the guy comes out and he hands me the books and he says, okay, I have to ask, like, can I ask why you want these books?
And okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, what would you say in my position? I think is the first thing I want to know.
I mean, I think it's fair to be like, hey, I'm getting them on a lark, although, and I feel like that's more believable as a dude. If I were to go and pick up those books and say I'm getting them on a lark, the guy would be like, yeah, okay.
He'd be like, no, that a lark is too small. Like you'd have to at least get him on an ostrich. But I saw you park your car.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's totally fine to say that you're getting them on a lark.
That would have been probably much more concise and clever than what I did say.
Did you tell him that you were trying to pick up a man? And
no.
then did you follow up by asking him for his phone number? No, that would have been needy.
See, that would have been at least like fun, like a fun bit I could tell people about. But I basically kind of stammered and I was like, so because I was still really reluctant to say a word like, I don't know, like the P word, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to say that, or I didn't even really want to say it's for content.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt dirty. And so I think I sort of implied that I was like, yeah, it's this thing. It's kind of hard to explain. We're kind of doing, I mean, maybe I said content. I don't know. I was really on the spot and I was like, but I'm kind of getting it like ironically, like as a joke. It's basically, I was saying I got it on a lark, but I was not saying it very confidently or eloquently. And I was like, anyway, bye. And I took the books and ran.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you didn't ask him why he had the books?
I assumed that it was like, you know, divorced guy kind of thing, or partner moved out.
Oh.
And so it's like, you know, like she had all these books and then he just has to get rid of them all.
I guess.
He might have also said something. He might have explicitly told me that. I can't remember. It was like not the. Sometimes I don't know if somebody told me something or if I just kind of assumed something to the point that it became true in my head.
Right.
But it was one of those two things I'm going to say.
Okay. Neat. Well, I'm furious that you didn't ask him why he had them, but I can forgive you. That's yeah. Now I'm curious. I wonder if he I wonder if they belong to his ex, or I wonder if they're like still currently married or together, and she was like, hey.
Well, she landed the man.
I guess, yeah.
And he was I mean, because the thing is, I mean, I guess this means nothing. He maybe had a divorce guy energy to me.
Divorce guy energy.
Yeah.
DGE.
Says the guy driving across town to pick up like weird pickup books, but
I mean, these are probably less toxic than the.
Well, do you want to keep going with that one, or do you want me to tell you what I kind of found with it?
I do. I want to get to the one part. Okay, so I guess I'll skip through these. So, unattractive habit 2 is incessant insecurity. So, God forbid you have an insecure day where you ask it does say incessant, but
yeah. I feel like you're trying to backpedal over your own behaviors. You're like, well, incessant insecurity, that's just normal, right? Right? Guys?
I mean, I feel like it's okay to be insecure, like even for like a stretch of time, but Like, I guess, yeah, if you're, again, these things are like problematic in that they're like, if you have like low self-esteem and it's causing incessant insecurity, you should probably look at that. But like, you don't need to fix it just so that you can find a dude to love you. Like, you can work on those things for yourself and not, I don't know. It just seems like kind of gross to be like, that this is the way that we get people to like notice these things about themselves and work on themselves.
Sure.
Clueless communicator. That's a long section. I don't want to read it. Sloppy and unkempt appearance. Well, yeah, I just hate that in general.
But I mean, what do you think of that as dating advice? Like that you should not have sloppy or unkempt appearance?
I mean, I think.
See, now you're covering for Ryan.
No, yeah. So he does like to be sloppy and unkempt, but I don't give a fuck. He's always been kind of unkempt, and I've always enjoyed that about him. We've had this discussion, he and I. So
I can't wait till he shows up, and then we can grill him on it.
Yeah. So if you so we're talking about if you like your partner to do a certain thing or like look a certain way, and it doesn't matter your partner either way. Do you think so? For example, my sister-in-law used to get her nails done every other week. She found out it was costing too much money, and she was like, you know what? I don't really want to I don't really care about having these long nails anymore. Oh, speaking of the devil, I don't care about having these long nails anymore. I would rather just like get rid of them. But my brother likes that he gets really good back scratches when she has her long nails, and so they made a deal that she still gets her nails done, but he pays for them. So, hey, love, what's up?
You don't have to whisper. I mean, I was just gonna set up a mic for you, but
yeah, come on in. Okay. This is great.
We're doing it very informally. We're literally just fucking around with the erotica books.
Mm-hmm. So we got to the discussion of if you care about something that your partner does, but your partner doesn't necessarily care, if you're asking them to do it, are you obliged to contribute in some way? And then we were talking about looking sloppy and unkempt, and I was like, I feel like if it doesn't affect your health, then it does not necessarily your responsibility to keep yourself that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hi.
I think so. Okay, I'm just gonna jump in with what I thought of this book. Was that I was really disappointed because I like you, I saw that cover and I was like, well, this is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be the most just weird mean girl shit or whatever. And I looked at those chapter headings that were I mean, I could just pause here. You can sit there. I can also set you up in a chair. We can do whatever. We have many options. All right. Do you want to? You can also just turn your camera so that it picks up both of you better.
That's fine. That's probably fine. No, it bothers Kelly. Therefore,
that's right.
We have 2 whole people watching.
Yeah. Whoa!
Amazing.
So I regret turning that lamp on anyway. So this makes you feel better.
Okay. So you didn't find this book problematic. You thought it was fine.
Well, what I found was that I mean, you could definitely, I don't know, if you're making me the editor of it, then there's probably things I would change. And like you say, it's the title of the book and the headings of the chapters are very sensational. Because what was that one chapter? It was the habits of very unattractive women, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. And then you open it and it just says don't be insecure, don't be an asshole, take a shower. I'm like, well, okay, it feels like they packaged pretty reasonable advice. It feels like they packaged pretty reasonable advice into a package that's trying to be more it almost seems like somebody wanted to write a fairly, compared to how unhinged some of the stuff I collect is, it's very hinged. And I thought
Okay.
maybe somebody wrote a pretty whatever a dating advice book, and the publisher was like, "We got to juice this up," and they like, "Here's the title it's gonna be." Like a lot of people like don't get to choose their own titles and stuff.
Yeah. Yes. I
You
was
keep talking. I'm
kind
gonna get him a microphone.
I was kind of on board until it got to the part where it's like, don't be boring, it's sex. And I'm like, okay, well, that seems, unless there's something like else in it that's more rational, I'm like, that seems like pretty like situation dependent, or what's the word I'm looking for? It like depends on the person, you know? So I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like it feels weird. It feels like it's like if it was just like an advice, like a book on like how to like be better. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see these things, but I don't know. It just seems kind of fucky. Oh yeah, so this is the other one. This is for when you get all the men to want you, how you cool them off when they start coming at you. The book is called "You Would If You Loved Me."
I forgot that was the title of it.
Yeah,
It's quite a title.
it certainly is. I have never met anyone that had someone try to use that line on them.
What?
If you loved me, you'd do it.
That's like an old school thing.
Yeah, I mean
it's
these.
like as dated as this book.
Yeah, these people are from the 70s.
It's a very old
clearly,
school
so-
book.
Right. That's what this. You would if you love me.
Yeah, I remember watching a video in high school of like, this is what like guys will say to try and get you to sleep with them, and it was like all these like stupid ass things. And yeah, if you love me, you do it. Come on, baby, you got me all hot. And it was like always delivered in like that tone of voice too, and it was like the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, they didn't even
You would
fuck
if you
yet.
loved me.
Oh, hold on, let me find the one I'm supposed to use for that.
This is great because we can get you two to act those out.
If you really love me, you won't put pressure on me.
Hey, yo, hey.
What's my line? That's my response to
Then
that.
you say, "It's hold on."
Where's the book where I can continue to pressure you?
Where you?
Yeah.
There probably is one. You'll have to get Andrew Tate's book.
Right.
Here we go. This one's your line.
Come on, baby. Why don't you be a cam girl for me?
Oh no, I already am. Look.
There we go. We got all the equipment. You made me spend all this money.
Oh boy.
Which one?
I don't know. Whichever.
Is it getting hot in here? Let's go for a walk.
No, it's not hot in here. The heat is in your pants.
I asked to go for a walk. Take you to my favorite bush.
Yeah.
Okay, hold your excitement for 1 second. I'm gonna have to pause our recording so I can arm the third one for recording.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I really want you to read the next one.
Okay, I guess I can wait till Kelly's got this shit together for it.
Boop. Give us the go ahead. It's already.
Oh shit, you got Super Nintendo games. Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart's just okay. I wouldn't call it super.
No, it's Super Mario Kart.
Oh, it's just right. It's just a regular game, babe.
No, it's called Super Mario Kart.
All right.
Okay, just for a second, just Ryan talk for a minute.
Hey, test. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
No, I think we're
yeah, check. Mike.
Oh, Paige is in the comments. I didn't even notice.
Paige.
Yeah, here, let me do a quick. I just wanted so I can sync that later.
All right. I want you to read this next one.
I'm gonna get another beer.
Want to go to the beach and watch the shooting stars?
Sure, as long as it's only the stars that are doing the shooting.
Okay, I have questions about that one.
When were condoms invented?
When were condoms invented? Probably like in the 50s, right?
Well, I mean, people were using like sheepskin for condoms a million years ago. So,
Yeah,
Right.
I guess.
and
When
then
were
they used rubber, and then they used
They're
latex.
using like lemon juice douches and shit.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
still do that. Just ask
Do they?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
What? Okay.
Okay, so the thing I was wondering about that is because again, like you're noticing how corny this book is, how 1978 it is.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that when they say like the only one doing the shooting, they're kind of talking about like shooting your shot, or they're really trying to like evoke coming?
Oh.
Because I feel like if you just like
That's a
you've
good
seen
point.
enough of this book, but like if you flip through it, you're gonna really see like it's like even for 1978, it's very 50s. So I'm like, there's
Oh.
no way they meant that, but they now reading in that of context, it's just that much funnier.
Is that like
Well,
a
let's see
thing?
if
Is
we
that
can
like
find out something else that's less ambiguous.
puberty videos and stuff that are like they're always the lines that they use are always at least a decade older than what's currently being said.
Yeah. Well, no, go ahead.
I'm free tonight. Would you like me to help come over and help you study?
That's okay. I like to study the Bible in private.
It's pretty good. Okay, can I read you when you're done the next one? Can I read you guys the intro to that book?
Yes.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Okay,
Yeah,
one
let's
more.
do one more. Yeah. I wanted to see if we could find one that was like. Oh, these aren't like the back and forth lines anymore.
I'm just gonna read Paige's comments. How will I love you if I can't sit on your face? Tremendous.
What?
That's one of Paige's
Okay,
comments.
here, we'll just do
Oh.
this. These are only whispers.
This is
I know
this
how
is
to
really
shout at
perfect
you.
because I was looking at that book and I was like, what I need is 3 copies of it so I can kind of like have people read it to each other. But you guys are sitting an inch away, so this is perfect. This is all my problem.
Sorry. Okay, so I want you guys to know it says in brackets stroking female. Also, it says females and males, which is I'm finding really distracting.
Well, it also changes if you watch the captions. They'll be like, we're gonna mix it up with like him, her,
Mhm.
she, him,
Do
or
you know-
she, he, and then female, male. Oh yeah, but in the phrasing, even in like the paragraphs, it's like
Do you know what I find?
females are like this and males are like this.
So I want you guys to know that in that for that one it said stroking the female's arm languidly. And then what was okay? Read that one again.
Well, you got to move the book because he's demonstrating languid stroking, and it's you're
Sorry.
well done.
Okay?
Jeez. No, I'm dying.
Oh, okay.
You got to move your book.
Why?
Because you're
Oh.
censoring the language. I thought you were
Oh.
doing it on purpose as a bit at that point.
Yeah.
These are only whispers. I know how to shout at you.
Yeah, I know. You did it the whole way car ride here. I did nothing wrong.
Oh wait, no, do that whole bit though. That's a really good exchange.
Okay. Oh, there's like oh, you mean like just these two? Yeah. So then she says, "So shut up already."
No, do it from the beginning. You got to get it clean. It's so good.
I don't.
These this book almost reminds me of like those bad AIs,
Yeah.
like where before I guess Chat GPT, but where they're like, here you go, here's like a book on like sexual relationships. Try and like do like an advance and like make like this, and it's like it's trying to, but they're like kind of crappy examples. Because I don't know why anyone would I don't know why anyone would say that, or why she would say that. It's like it makes very
Okay, do
little
the
sense.
do the vignette. I want to hear it.
Do this one.
No, do the whispering one. It's so good.
I'd like to know you better, mind, body, and soul.
Oh yeah? Then I suggest you take Psychology 205, Biology 123, and Religion 101.
Then would you bang me? If I took those 3 courses.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be like a year and a half later, so
Oh, okay. Joke's on you. I've already done those courses.
God damn it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do the whisper one.
Here, how about you do the whisper one?
Okay.
And then Ryan reads the sheet.
Okay. Okay. Oh, as I stroke you. Wait,
Yeah,
I
stroke
gotta put the beer down.
stroke his arm languidly. Do it.
These are only whispers. I know how to shout at you.
So shut up already.
That's just tremendous.
Just so good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. What really nailed the timing was the 5 seconds you had to squint at the book. All right. So this is the introduction. So you didn't read the introduction.
I did not.
Okay. In the so-called good old days, the classic line was, "Want to see my etchings?" Strange, in a way. In those days, no one had etchings and everyone knew it was a line. Nowadays, lots of people have etchings and this line is rarely used.
What?
What's an etching?
I was really hoping one of you could kind of clue me in here because I was very fucking confused by that.
Want to see my etchings? Is that like
That's like a painting thing? Or not
Yeah,
painting,
it's
but
like
an art thing
yeah.
for sure.
Want to see my etchings? I'm Googling it.
Yeah, it's like I can't even imagine a 40s guy going up and be like, "Hey, Dave, you want to see my etchings?"
Yeah.
How you doing, Dame?
Yeah, you let me know what
Come
you
back to
find
my
out.
place and
You don't see any old-timey movies like that.
the phrase "come up and see my etchings" is used as an invitation to sexual dalliance. Come up and also synonym "come up and see me sometime."
Okay, so we understand that this was a line that was it was always maybe like a bit of a code word, right?
They didn't have friends yet.
Right, but it
Do
says
the how you doing?
That second one is a classic Mae West line. Why don't you come over and see me sometime?
Well, she was being a flirt then.
Yeah, absolutely. That was her whole thing.
Right. Okay, so we've
Ooh.
cleared up the whole thing about it being a line in the good old days, but I'm still hung up on nowadays lots of people have etchings and this line is rarely used. What do you mean lots of people have etchings?
You don't have etchings, Kelly?
Well, no, it's not the 70s, but apparently people did.
Yeah. So let's look up what an etching is.
I don't remember the etching episode of that 70s show, so I'm lost here.
The phrase is attributed to Stanford White, a New York architect who purportedly used the line to induce women whom he wanted to seduce to visit the townhouse that he had furnished with etchings of nudes. So yeah.
Again, explains the good old days, does not explain nowadays lots of people have etchings.
Yeah, let's look up these etchings.
Yeah, just put in 1978 etchings into Google image search.
What this article just got so bizarre.
Okay, now we're reading the article, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like this guy had like a bunch of nudie drawings, like Leo DiCaprio style.
Like the character or like the actor?
Both.
Okay.
So was used. Okay. The "Want to come up and see my etchings" was used in Alfred Hitchcock's first sound film, Blackmail, in 1929. And then there's a little footnote. It says, "I cannot confirm whether the phrase was used in Blackmail by the English film director Alfred Hitchcock, as I have not seen the film." So this is just something someone wrote.
Incredible research on that one.
Yeah, someone who couldn't be bothered to do any background research. And then it says, the phrase is attributed to Stanford White, a New York architect who purportedly used the line to induce women whom he wanted to seduce to visit the town. Okay, so this is a fake person. This is a character in a movie that he had furnished etchings with nudes. Okay, that makes this way less crazy. Because the footnote for that is the architect Stanford White was murdered by the millionaire Harry Kendall Thaw because White had allegedly raped Thaw's wife. The actress No, this is real? I am so confused.
Well, this is now what everything is about. This is now the entire focus of what we're doing.
Okay,
Here, I'll look up Stanford White.
The architect Stanford White was murdered by the millionaire Harry Kendall Thaw because White had allegedly raped Thaw's wife, the actress Evelyn Nesbit, when she was 16 years old. According to Frank Capo and Art and Susan Zuckerman in It Happened in New York City, Remarkable Events That Shaped History, during the trial of Thaw in 1907, a defense witness testified that "come up and to see my etchings" was a line that Stanford White coined to woo girls. However, I have not found any mention of this in the contemporary accounts of the trial.
Okay. So Stanford White was a real dude.
This is so gross.
But he died in 1906.
So, okay, so people, regardless of, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, but like, it sounds like this was used in a, like, that was something that someone said about a guy in a rape trial, and then people were like, that seems like a cool way to tell people I want to have sex with them. Is anyone else very disturbed by that?
The past, man. Never fuck with the past.
Jesus Christ. Paige, help.
Etching is traditionally the process of using strong acid or mordant to cut into the unprotected parts of a metal surface to create a design intaglio, incised, in the metal. In modern manufacturing, other chemicals may be used on other types of materials.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Neat.
That's an etching.
Cool. Well,
So
I
on to
hated
paragraph
that.
2 of the introduction.
I hate this so much.
It's also very difficult not to. I know this has been pointed out before, but whenever you read females, you kind of just imagine like the Ferengi from Star Trek saying it. Females. These days, lots of females fall for lines used on them. Of the many thousands I've collected, by far the most widely employed is, if you really love me.
Okay.
Why am I so hot and bothered about this? And where do I get this stuff about females falling for lines? Sounds sexist, doesn't it? Well, maybe. But every year, some 1 million adolescent girls, under 19, become pregnant, with about 600,000 females giving birth, a statistic which says nothing about the 1 in 4 pregnancies among adults that are unintended.
Okay, so this person is assuming that if two teenagers have sex with each other, it's because the girl has fallen for a line and she could have avoided it. So okay.
That
Yeah,
was my
I mean,
thought,
that's
too.
definitely
That she's been bamboozled.
Yeah.
that's definitely sort of like
Mhm.
my conclusion after reading the whole thing is that like the entire conceit of the introduction, as far as I can tell, is basically all this sex that's happening is unwanted, and the only thing that's really stopping them is this book.
Is
Like,
that they can't think of a clever line to
yeah,
say?
exactly. Like, not that, because it like, so the book does make mention of, okay, so like when you get to the end of the introduction and it's introducing the rest of the book, it does say like, okay, so like this is fairly good advice, right? How can you tell if it's a line? If the only way you can prove your love is having sex, it's a line. Threatened with rejection if you don't, then the one who threatens is not in love with you and will most likely leave you after it, in quotes, it. Anyway, if you feel it can't happen to you, it probably will. No is still the best oral contraception. If you can't say no, say yes to birth control and condoms. So like it does make a point of saying no is the main thing.
Yeah.
If you don't want to say no. But I do find it like, but the rest of the book existing is basically really built on this premise that like it's not enough to say no, or like a person is going to cave and say yes, like not because they don't have the confidence to say no, or because they are afraid, or because they aren't like savvy to whether the person is full of shit or not. It's that they don't have like a snappy enough comeback.
Yes. And also
Like, oh, I can't banter with this guy, I guess I have to fuck him. Like,
I like that.
That's how we met.
Yeah, exactly.
well, and that's why you're both a cautionary tale.
Yeah, we're actually in there. One of those examples is us.
That's why we're on this episode.
Yeah.
You know?
That's I also like that the evidence that they used for why women don't know how to say no to sex is because babies happen.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, it's a bit of that, like, maybe it's not a correlation causation thing, but it is sort of like a conflation of cause and effect, where it's like, well, we have too many babies. Well, we need to like stop the sex at the source. And it's like, well, or is it that people aren't using condoms? Like,
yeah. Also, like, we have too many babies. That means that women are having unwanted sex. I don't know. Seems weird.
yeah.
Neat. Go on.
Where did we get to? Oh yeah. Among teenagers, pregnancies and births are almost always undesirable and unhealthy. Furthermore, of the some 3 million new cases of VD each year, about 2/3 are among young people under 25 years of age. My point? Also, okay, sorry, I remembered another fun part. You should be reading this in a Jordan Peterson voice.
Oh no.
So here we go.
No, I can't.
My point? Females, not males, become pregnant. And it's the female who suffers the most. It is also true that almost all males abandon the teenagers they impregnate. Their line, how do I know it was me? Of course, males suffer too, mainly from treating females badly, and this may range from sexual dysfunction to the ultimate boredom, being stuck for a lifetime with an unliberated female.
Sorry, being stuck with
Being stuck for a lifetime with an unliberated female.
with an unliberated female? Neat.
Yeah.
You sound kind of like Ernie.
Well,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be Kermit, but
Oh, that's okay. I can see that.
I didn't warm up my Jordan Peterson impression.
Mhm.
Some females also use lines to seduce males, but this phenomenon is nothing compared with the forces that have built and maintained our double standard. Is that better?
That's more Kermit.
Okay.
That's good.
It's perfect.
So the double standard is young males are supposed to have sex, females are not. Males are supposed to seduce, females are not supposed to even want to have sex. So they are identifying
fair,
a double
yeah.
standard. But it goes off into it's really all over the place. Am I going for my normal voice or in the Kermit voice?
You do whatever feels right.
Therefore, when girls are overwhelmed, they are not prepared. Less than 20% of sexually active females regularly use effective contraception during their early sexual experiences. Yet some people say it's the pill that makes girls, quote, promiscuous. If only they would practice birth control, then we wouldn't be in so much trouble. I think it's getting away from the commenting on society stuff, so I'm going to go back to my normal voice.
Mm-hmm.
I began collecting lines 10 years ago at a summer program for disadvantaged youth. We simply, they use a lot of quote marks here, quote, advertised the current lines used by the boys. By making them public, we had a lot of complaints from the boys that we were ruining their sex lives. But that summer, our project had no pregnancies, perhaps the only such record among several hundred programs in the country.
The kids were just so turned off by all of this, and they're like,
Well, so the
girls had all the snappy comebacks.
If this person is to be believed, that like all of what they said is true, that their point and also the point of these young men was that it's sort of the opposite of placebo effect, where if you know it's a line, it doesn't work. So as soon as they were like almost that these lines are like shibboleths among young males, and they're being used to like, okay, like if you ask a cop if he's a cop, he has to tell you he's a cop. It's like, if you tell a girl this line, she has to fuck you. But then
it's like a loophole.
Right, but only if she doesn't know it. So if you start harvesting the lines from guys and giving them to women, then it's like an antidote. It renders them inert. Right. And that is the foundational premise of this book.
I kind of like that though.
What?
That's kind of
part of that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of true. Like if I remember the first time like I heard a cheesy pickup line, I was like, oh, that's like clever and cute. And then like the fifth time you hear it, you're like, okay, dude, like what are you, 80 years old? Like,
I think there is like genuinely some amount of like social education you can do in sex education, where, I mean, I think it's all kind of funny because these lines are so cartoonish, but if you were to talk about stuff that is being used contemporarily, like the pickup artist stuff, or even as we were kind of talking about, like the weird psycho Andrew Tate stuff, like presumably there's giant subcultures of dudes doing stuff like this because their hit rate or their success rate is non-zero. So like there are people who are susceptible to forms of manipulation, let's say.
Yeah.
So like I'm not an expert, I'm not a psychologist, but surely teaching somebody about, okay, here are the ways people will try to manipulate you, surely has some like prophylactic effect in allowing people to be wise to manipulation. Like there's probably something correct there.
Yeah.
I think if you had the same premise with stuff that seemed more present and real to us than these like very old-timey lines, it might hit a bit different.
Mm-hmm. So never mind, I don't want to know. Go on.
What are the techniques the boys are using on me?
Yeah, I was gonna say that boys use these days.
I feel like I have more experience being hit on.
Yeah, or just like
I have more experience being hit on by men than by women, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's just sort of how my life goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you the most recent time. I was at a party, like, I think this past weekend. And this dude, he basically just said to me, and like, this is a pretty, like, I don't know. I mean, you know, a lot of the circles we run with, like, probably more like open, comfortable, touchy-feely than the people that are, I don't know, at the bar or whatever. And so I was in like a group of people having a conversation, and this dude is like, hey, like, can I like rub your head? Because, my head is kind of like fuzzy. And I mean, sometimes people are like that, especially like very like hippie adjacent people. And I'm in like an extremely low boundaries person. So I'm like, yeah, all right. Like if somebody asks me if they can touch my head, I'm not going to say no. So this dude's like rubbing my head, and he just keeps rubbing my head. And I was like, all right, like, whatever. I got no issues with this. And then he moves on to like, yeah, can I like rub your beard? I was like, all right, I don't say no to things. And he just starts like massaging my beard. And I'm like, this dude is hitting on me. This dude is 100% hitting on me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because I had a tiny pocketbook explaining that dudes would do that at parties, I knew how to say no.
I clued into it when he was grabbing me by the penis.
Yeah. No, my snappy comeback was, yes, you can rub my beard, but you can't rub my pubes.
Only the beard on my face, not the one between my legs.
And he was so owned, he had to shrink away.
That's way better than the freaking. I had a dude. We went out to the bar the other night, and I had a dude come up and say something gross to me, and that's like, I feel like yours is like still better, like way better. At least he like asked, and was like, I don't know, being somewhat respectful about it from the sounds of it. I guess I'm not the one to judge that. How did you feel about it?
What? I thought you were asking Ryan. What?
No, the guy that was hitting.
Oh, how do I feel about the guy hitting on me?
Yeah.
I meant how do I feel about the guy hitting on you? I'm like, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like again, I'm a pretty low boundaries person. I'm also just like, I've never been. I don't say victim. I've never been like at the brunt of what I would call harassment. Like I've never felt unsafe, which is a sort of like some combination of like cis het male privilege.
Don't.
What's happening?
I farted.
Oh yeah.
His whole body tensed up.
Well, you should do it the way Nicole does it and do it directly into the mic.
You just did one.
What?
Not too long ago.
Right now? Here?
Yeah.
No.
Do you want me to get the fourth microphone? You guys can just hold it around your asses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only if you get like a smelling version of a microphone.
We're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I? Yeah. Okay. So like I've never, like I've had, like, I think the one time I've been treated by a woman in a way that I would describe as creepy was I went to, I think it was Lush once, and I was sampling some stuff, and like, you know how like they really like let you like try stuff on and stuff. So she was applying it, like, she was like, let me apply it to your arm. And she was just like really like massaging my arms and like looking me in the eyes and be like, this is nice. This is nice. And I was like, okay. And it was just like, it was a lot, but at the same time, like it was a lot, but I didn't feel threatened. I've just, because again, I've just never been in a position where I like felt I really had to be like afraid, or if I couldn't say no.
Mm.
So yeah, like I guess I would just say I have like the privilege of being able to just say like, oh, this is just a thing that's happening. I don't really care.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
like I wasn't into this dude. Like in my experience, I have not been into dudes, but I was like, I don't really care enough to say no.
Hmm.
It's kind of like it's like I feel like I enjoyed it in the way a dog likes when you scratch their head.
Mhm.
It's just nice to be scratched.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It felt horny on his end. I mean, maybe he just thought maybe he was just doing like he pets a dog. I can't project too much, but
I remember one time I got hit on at a bar, and it came out of left field. I don't even really remember the full details, so this might be okay, cool story, bro, a bit. But it was like a Halloween party, and there was some girl. She was dressed as a chicken or an egg or something like that. I'm like, oh, what are you supposed to be? And she like said something about chicken or something. And it's like, stuff to get laid, hey? And like then looked at us like expecting something
Mhm.
out of it. Or she said something about getting laid. And I remember it was Justin and I. And we both kind of like looked at each other like, me or you? Like, who's taking this? And we were both like, no, thank you.
Oh.
It just kind of walked away. From it, I remember distinctly feeling like that. I was like, that was super aggressive. Yeah, she just like friggin' came up and said that.
You think that was aggressive?
Yeah,
I guess.
for it being a dude. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like you definitely do, like you the scale of like what is aggressive is different because just in general, like it's just less common.
Well, it sounds like she didn't have like scales on her costume. It was probably more like feathers
Right. Good point.
for the scale.
Yeah. So, but I think it's interesting. Like it sounds like your story is not that different to mine, where it's like a very fundamentally different experience to have someone be aggressive towards you in a way that like, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for other people's experiences, but like I would say a lot of like broadly speaking, women being hit on by men, like a lot of description is just like that feeling of like feeling threatened or maybe not feeling safe. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or there's probably maybe a better word for it.
So it's been a long time since I've been like out at the bar and like someone's like hit on me and like somewhere in a way that like bothered me in that way. But it's just like, and these days I just feel disappointed in them. like like I'm just like going out to have a good time and like someone comes up to say something to me and I think that they're being sincere and then they say something gross and I'm like, I don't want to feel like I should know better than to expect that from people. I want to feel like I can expect to have like a nice conversation with a dude at a bar and it doesn't have to be gross.
Yeah, like I guess maybe what I was getting at was like the way he told the story was that basically when he was like, okay, I'm not into this, he was able to just kind of say no and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Like he felt able to, and in practice he was able, because it didn't really continue after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I think a lot of people don't have that experience from the way I've heard them describe their experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I've been lucky in that most of my experiences have been pretty benign and it's just I'm able to just like shrug my shoulders and turn around and like walk away from it. But I mean you definitely get like I've definitely been in situations where I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to like make sure my friends know where I'm going because I don't know. This guy was following me around for a long time and he like was being aggressive and then all of a sudden he disappeared and I don't know if he's still hanging out or if he's gonna be like
Hiding in a bush.
yeah. So like
Oh.
yeah. So it's like I mean there is that like I've never like yeah, I don't know. I think I've had like the milder experiences of being hit on, but it's still just like still awkward, still makes you uncomfortable. Anyways.
So stupid lines.
Yep.
I'm you got to the religious lines page because you read that one about Bible study, right?
Yes.
I'm amazed you and like just the context of the other religious lines in here. There's one here. It is said that having sex on the Jewish Sabbath is a double mitzvah, which means good deed.
A double mitzvah?
Yeah.
That's definitely not a Yiddish word. Mitzvah is. Someone just put double in front of mitzvah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know what double means.
Are you a rabbi?
Good point.
And then there's like, so you think you're going to be hit by a bolt of lightning if you go to bed with me? Like, all of these kind of have like a straightforwardness to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This one, it just floored me with like, imagine somebody trying to hit on you like this. And I guess presumably you're at like a church group, right? I'm going to do my best smarmy dude voice. The same God who put these desires into my body isn't going to turn around and say it's wrong to fulfill them, whether in the bonds of marriage or not. It's not a very concise line.
No, not so much.
It doesn't have that like that quick.
He doesn't get to his thesis fast enough.
No, and it has like so many, like it's almost like double negatives. Like the same God who put the desires in my body isn't going to turn around and say it's wrong to fulfill them, whether in the bonds of marriage or not. Like there's so many, like I have to do like a chart of this sentence.
It's pretty wordy.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like that they put it in the least succinct way possible. Like he wouldn't have just been like, oh, so you think God gave us these desires and he would punish us for fulfilling them? That's like I feel like that's pretty concise. There's like way better ways you could say that.
We can workshop this.
Yeah, let's make this better.
We can
send your suggestions to the chat.
Yeah.
If you don't have sex by the time you're 16, you'll become a lesbian.
By the time you're 16?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't reading the book. I was reading Justin Roiland's DMs.
Justin who? Oh, Roiland. Shit. I forgot about that.
You forgot about that. It was like a week ago.
Yeah.
A lot has happened in the past few weeks, though.
There's
been
so many, shitty things.
Yeah, but isn't that an incredible, like...
Good Lord.
I mean, how many people do you think that's worked on?
Is that what he said?
So this is under a category. So like some of these lines have clap books and sometimes don't. Yeah, it's there.
The lesbian one.
Yeah, so there's
So what do you clap back to that with?
So this is also an interesting thing about the book is that they have like maybe a third of them have response lines and the rest is just here's the lines. So if you hear it, now you know. It's really lazy is the thing. It doesn't really give, like, it just gives these categories of lines. And there's like one or two paragraphs in the rest of the book that are actually kind of giving you like tangible advice.
Can we put like 2023 responses
I know what the response.
Back to this?
Yeah. When the lesbian one is, you just say, "Let's be friends."
Ooh.
That's good. I was gonna say,
I mean, a fun way to come back to that if some dude is like, if this ever happens to you, Nicole, and you are 15 years old, if you don't have sex by the time you're 16, you'll become a lesbian. You could just lean into it and be like, hell yeah, be gay, do crimes.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I was like, we should come up with 2023 like responses to these because I feel like that would be like the response to that one would just be like, hey man, that's pretty fucking homophobic. Do you think that the threat of being a lesbian is gonna scare me into having sex with you? It's not like snappy.
It's definitely not. You could work on your snappiness.
Yeah, you can get to your thesis faster too.
Yeah. Like if there's one thing a book taught us, it's not about.
Well, you're the one with the PhD.
It's not about saying no comprehensively. It's about like turning their words back on them in a very vaudeville way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all the like, it's just like such a weird homophobic thing to say. I feel like all the comments back are just like, either you lean into the homophobia or you lean into the, hey bitch, that was weird.
There's another weird gay one in here. I gotta find it. This is also, you're talking about 2023 lines. Just imagine somebody actually coming up to you with some of these. Like, I don't know. I kind of just want to go to a bar and go up to strangers and be like, hey, do you want to see my etchings? Or just complete no context. Just walk up to somebody while you're ordering your drinks and just go, hey, excuse me. the same God who put these desires into my body isn't gonna, and see if you could even get to the end of the sentence before they walk away.
Hit me with another one.
When we go to bed together, it will be making love, not screwing.
Right.
Who is to say which is really better?
Hmm.
Sometimes a little bit of both. Making love
Yeah.
on the weekdays, screwing on the weekends.
It depends on the context for sure.
I don't think I've ever unironically used screw, like even with a partner, like where you like you all want it. Like there's just different
You
words.
wanna
Oh,
screw.
Yeah, I've never
yeah.
been like, do you want to go home
We're
and screw?
screwing right now.
Hey, baby, you wanna screw?
Feels so good.
Screw me so hard.
Screw you over there.
There's a lot of them about trying to like keep warm as well. Yeah.
Good lord.
Which like yeah, you see the kind of logic. Oh, yeah, this one's fun. This isn't one of the actual advice pages. Love, quote, just is, so a lot of us think. Yet, as a central cause of concern for millions of people falling in and out of it, one might think we'd have more to say about love than is presented in soaps, ads, rock, and films. One thing
So it means soaps like soap operas.
Yeah.
That's
I tried to
good
do the finger
clarify.
quotes, but anyone like listening to the audio of this is not going to really get the full weight of my finger quotes. One thing we know for sure is love has little or nothing to do with the toothpaste you use, the car you drive, or even how GIB you are.
What does GIB mean?
So very helpfully, there's an
Good
asterisk.
in bed?
Good and
Yeah.
bad, yeah.
And at the bottom of the page, the footnote, good in bed.
Hell yeah.
But I'm a little stuck on one thing we know for sure is love has little or nothing to do with the toothpaste you use. Like, was this ever in doubt?
I mean, to be fair, I feel like for you specifically, like if someone
Me specifically.
for you specifically, if you met someone and they were like, "Oh, I'd like to start leaving some things at your house," and one of the things was like a refillable thing full of those toothpaste pills
Oh,
that
yeah.
you chew up, it is like zero waste.
Oh.
You would be immediately in love.
I would. Yeah, so this book's full of shit. I don't know why they felt this like strong need to abbreviate it there and then just have to explain it. They call me the notorious GIB.
Like maybe that was just like a really big saying back in the day. Like
Could
GIB.
be.
yeah, you know that guy, that girl, she's real GIB. If you know what I'm saying.
I was trying to think of another funny thing that GIB would be, but I got nothing. In the world we live in, love often gets confused with money, sex, or being, quote, turned on by a part of a person. Parentheses, breasts, ankles, behinds.
The old ankles.
Yeah. Italicized. Warning. You can't have a conversation with a behind, even if it's a smartass, or a fantasy.
Oh, no!
The person you love doesn't even know
I've
you
seen
exist.
Ace Ventura, so that's not true.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Perhaps we can't define love itself, but we sure can tell if we're in a good or bad, quote, scene. And it's not really that difficult to figure out if we are in a mature or immature love affair. Immature love is exhausting. While you may go around, quote, being in love, you will likely be, quote, too tired to shower, study, or shoulder any responsibilities around the house. After all, you are, quote, in love. They love the quotes. You have what is called a hostile dependent relationship. You can't stand to be with a person you are supposed to love, and you can't stand to be without that person. When you are together, there are fights and arguments. One of you will keep repeating, do you love me? Do you really love me? Anyway, so this is
babe.
getting...
Just like how we met.
Yeah, it's getting into less hilarious.
What am I supposed to do in that situation? Just out of curiosity.
You're supposed to have a mature love affair. You have
Oh.
time and energy to shower. Again, agrees with the other book. You should be showering.
That's some bullshit. They don't know
Yeah.
what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, babe.
So skipping ahead a bit, I really
These
like
books
this.
are so dated.
Okay.
Back in the days when people showered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to
Wipe their
list,
ass too.
well, I mean, don't get me started on cleaning your ass. If I were to list the 10 most important aspects in a love relationship or marriage, it would look like this. So what do you two have a guess at what the top 10 most important aspects in a love relationship or marriage?
Is it being GIB? Is it in there?
I don't know
It's
if
gotta
we,
be.
I don't know if we should turn this into like a pen and paper game and you see who
It's
gets
got to
the
be
highest score.
communication.
That's number 2, being able to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Being able to have fun together.
Yeah.
Number 3 is having a sense of humor.
I was gonna say laughing and joking together. That's a good one.
Oh, this is like Family Feud here.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's
And
actually
yeah. If you no, I've
Yeah, we got it.
we got this.
okay. That's more apt than you think it is. So keep going.
So then what would the next one be?
We had we had communication and sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. What was it like? Compliments or like? I guess I would say maintenance. They would call them maintenance text now, but like being like kind, I guess, to each other.
Attention.
I mean, it's not in there as such.
Okay.
It's like the answer. Well, okay, one of the remaining answers is like really. It's like really basic and straightforward.
Being together.
Slightly less basic.
Being
honest.
That's kind of communication. I'm just gonna give you their list, and you tell me what you think of it.
Yeah, you're supposed to give us the little Family Feud X's.
All right, you've got two. You've got 2 X's. Give me one more guess.
having showering. Is it showering?
Woo! That's on the board.
Nope.
Woo!
All right.
Yeah.
So here's their list. 1, loving and caring for one another. 2, being able to communicate with one another. 3, having a sense of humor. 4, blank. 5, blank. 6, blank. 7, blank. 8, blank. 9, being sexually fulfilled. 10, learning.
I said being GIB.
Okay, you're right.
No, that's not.
I didn't even count that as one of your X's.
Yeah, if you want to be sexually fulfilled, your partner has to be GIB.
Nicole's doing some really good gestures there for anyone listening.
Okay, so that was 9. Sorry, what was 10?
10 was learning how to clean the house together.
That's fair.
So, do I really mean to suggest that sex is not important? No. Of the some 7,326 things that are important in life, sex is still one of the top 10. So, I find it really charming how their list is like, I know the top 3. I don't know the next 5, but I know that sex is number 9. I really know this very strongly.
Scholars still haven't discovered the other.
Yeah.
The blanks in between.
So each of the blanks has an asterisk, and the footnote it says, "I haven't figured this one out yet. You fill it in for yourself."
He's also saying he's making a statement that it's more important to fuck than it is to have a clean house.
Yeah, 100%. But way less important than being funny. Like he just knows that having a sense of humor is that much more important than being sexually fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys want to flip through this book anymore? Or?
Yes, give us another line.
Oh, Jesus.
Just one more, and then we can read some erotica.
Jesus.
Okay, can you two read, can you read that one that my finger is on?
Yeah.
I want you to really lean into the performance.
Do you want to be he or she?
I'll be he.
Okay.
What's my motivation for this scene?
Your motivation is if you're being he, you're trying to get your dick wet.
Okay.
But
how long has it been since my D has been wet?
Let's see. By the look of it, by the phrasing he uses, I'm going to say never. He's never had sex. Like maybe he's dry humped. I'm guessing
With
this
another
couple.
human?
I'm guessing these two. If you're making me fill in the world building here, these two like met at church camp and have been dry humping for like 6 months,
Oh,
like maybe once a week, because that's when both of their like sets of parents go to bingo and they can just like go to one of their houses and dry hump.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy is getting real tired of this, and he's like, I need a line. And he goes to the fellas right at the malt shop in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what do they do in the 70s? Oh, all I know is from that 70s show. They go to the mini golf,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, hey fellas, I've been dry humping, is driving me crazy. No, this is churchy. He goes to the church group mini golf,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, yeah, all this dry humping's driving me nuts, fellas. I'm going home, and I'm just like absolutely blowing out the back walls of my socks after she leaves. And that's how they talked in the 70s. They said blowing out the back walls of my socks. And I think the thing that's really stopping me and Sherry from having sex is a really snappy line to get us from dry humping into something, I don't know, less dry. And one of the fellas, one in like a leather jacket, leans over, and aviators, leans over and is like, I got the perfect line for you. And he whispers it in his ear. And the guy goes to his girlfriend with his line in mind. And go.
we've been seeing each other for a few weeks. It's about
You
time we
said
got
6
into heavy
months.
sex.
He stepped all over his line. Start over.
One
Start
more
from the
time.
top.
Sorry, look.
Okay, so they've been hanging out for 6 months, but they've been going steady for a few weeks.
Okay.
We've been seeing each other for a few weeks. It's about time we got into heavy sex.
Why does he have to describe?
I don't think that's how she responded.
It's like a negotiation tactic. You want to get to here, so you offer here.
You wanna-
And hoping
You
that-
want to have regular sex, so you're like, well,
Yeah.
I'll start at heavy sex and negotiate my way down.
Exactly. You gotta leave some wiggle room in the negotiation.
Yeah.
For what your
Jesus
initial
Christ.
offer is to.
And then, so says he wants to get into heavy sex, and she says, "Is that what time your Mickey Mouse watch says it is?"
Damn, girl.
Again, the snappiness is really nailed by the timing with the other line. How quickly you got it off.
So this is what I mean by when I said these. Like, it feels like they were written by like an AI, like
Yeah.
a shitty AI, where they're like.
I think it's
know.
written by people that just that aren't GIB, because it's like, oh yeah, these teenagers, they're having heavy sex,
This is.
Mhm.
which means like, I don't know, having the lights on, like
It feels like the same person that wrote the script for Commando wrote these lines.
Those were good lines. I would not describe any of these as good. Heavy sex is when you do it with a weighted blanket.
Heavy sex is when you do it with the weight of our oppressive capitalistic society on your shoulders.
yeah, heavy sex is
when your
just
wife won't stop nagging you about all the work you gotta do.
heavy sex is when you both have seasonal affective disorder and you're just still kind of like sighing, and like you've got the collective weight of the world on each of your shoulders. You put your
Oh.
shoulders together and combine it, that's twice as much weight.
No, this is like, because back in the day, even heavy was slang, right? Like,
Heavy.
that shit's heavy.
This is heavy, Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's newer than this book, so
I guess, yeah.
only
that
by
was
a little
that
bit,
was
by like
80s,
7
wasn't it?
years.
Yeah. Well, when did the He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother come out? Because
Oh, good point.
What the fuck are you talking about?
The song. He ain't heavy.
Let's look it up.
He's my brother.
Sounds made up.
Okay,
while you're looking it up.
Hey, Kelly,
Yeah.
don't leave. I have an alarm clock.
You're saying that like I have memorized the response line.
You haven't? How are you gonna
Yeah, what is gonna happen?
protect
Okay,
yourself?
say it
Next time
again.
that guy tries to rub your beard.
Hey, don't leave. I have an alarm clock.
Well, I have an alarm clock too, but it doesn't run fast, so I prefer it over yours.
Is she implying that he's gonna come fast?
Yeah, I think I was baffled by that one too.
So He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother came out in 1969.
Nice.
So Heavy was, yeah, very appropriate for the
Mhm.
70s.
Mhm.
Okay.
I guess heavy petting has always been a thing as well.
Oh,
I do also think it's kind of funny that we were talking about how a lot of the stuff is not like, it's just sort of implied. Like, "Ooh, do you want to see my etchings?" And like, like, "Ooh, we're gonna get into heavy sex." Like, it's not very graphic. But when the book does get specific, there's a lot of lines that refer to pulling out.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's probably just like, don't worry, babe, I'll pull out.
100%. You basically said the next one verbatim.
Yeah.
We could do this one fun. You guys could invert the he, she on this one.
Sure.
It's that second one from the bottom.
On the right hand side?
Yeah, the second last one. Maybe you should both memorize your line this time. You can mute your mics, do some practices, and then
Yeah, okay, I got my she down.
you've got your line? Okay.
I won't hurt you, and I'll pull out in time.
I think I'll pull out of this relationship first.
Oh, I'm the friend hanging out nearby.
I really
I'm the
hate
friend who drove you to make up point because I'm the only one with the driver's license.
the.
Oh, got him!
Why does he have to specify that he's not gonna hurt her? Like, I would never, like, if a guy was trying to seduce me, I would never be like,
Well, okay, so actually a lot of the other lines in the book, I'm just like kind of interpolating to that one. But there's a lot of other lines in the book that refer to pain, and they're basically alluding to the like,
yeah,
so like,
old hymen.
yeah, the
ideas.
idea of like, I'm gonna shatter your hymen, and like you're even just assuming the
It's gonna
person's a virgin.
explode in like 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of lines that like, it's only gonna hurt a little and then it's gonna feel great. Like, yeah.
I like this one.
So it could be part of that is like the
Yeah,
reassurance.
okay.
I
I was
don't
like-
know. Again, I'm
I was-
kind of like cross-pollinating from these other lines in the book.
Mhm.
I have read this. This is the only book on this shelf I have read back to front because it was just A, it's thin, but B, it's just wild.
So do you want to watch the sunrise in the morning? And she says, just the sun.
Haha.
That's clearly a boner reference.
I guess so. I
Mhm.
found that one
Doesn't
was
wanna-
like, it just felt like it had a little too much subtext for this book. So
See your dick pop up.
Nice wieners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Nicole, can you pass me the Be Your Own Matchmaker book?
Yep.
Because I do want to talk about that one. And while we have all this dead air, I'm gonna get another beer.
Oh. Any.
Hey, Ryan, be funny.
Dance
For us.
That's my mama.
Oh.
What is
Become
that?
your own matchmaker. 8 easy steps to attracting your perfect mate.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I have to see if I can actually find the part that I was giggling at before. This is, I want you to imagine what it's like to be Ian when I go to his house and I just bring weird books. And like between sets of a workout, I'll just be like flipping through the book and I'll be like, oh man, I found another line. It's like, yeah, we're trying to do exercise here.
Yeah, and you're like, that's why I'm breathing so heavy. It's definitely not this erotica that I brought.
Yeah. Okay. Shit. Well, I have to find the thing, so I don't know if one of you wants to just riff on another book.
Yeah. Baby, you're driving me wild.
No, I'm not. I'm driving you home.
Haha.
That one's a decent, like, I feel like I could actually remember that one.
Mhm.
Also, like, I'm trying to imagine the context of "You're driving me wild," where like, because he's not saying like that one isn't a line like, "Hey, we need to go fuck." Like they could just be dancing, or maybe they're doing some heavy petting. So like they're both mutually engaging in something that's getting him excited. So it'd be kind of weird if you're like, "I'm having a great time," and it's like, "I'm driving you home." Oh yeah, so check out that little centerfold bit.
Yeah, you know that it's gonna be a good book when there's like an ad in the middle, right in the middle of it.
Right, but read out the ad. What is the premise of this ad? because I thought this would be a fun activity.
Okay, so it says, so first of all, it's a silhouette book, which is, if you don't know silhouette, it's like budget Harlequin romance.
And is that like, so I was pointing out before how all these kind of Harlequin-ish ones all have like the exact same like page count and like exact same position of the sex scene. This is a much smaller book, so is it kind of like, is that how, what are these called?
Silhouette.
Are silhouette books also notoriously smaller? Because this is like a back pocket book.
I've never actually, I don't think I've ever read one, but yeah, they're very like.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't know. Good back pedal.
I have seen them. I think they do have like a standard size. I think this is like it. Yeah.
It's not the size
Play
of
the lucky
book that
heart-
matters.
Yeah, I made that joke earlier.
Oh,
Sorry, love.
damn.
Play the Lucky Hearts game and get 2 free books and a free mystery gift, yours to keep.
It's a dildo.
We can only hope. Yeah, so it's, oh, you didn't even scratch the, there's like a little thing you can scratch. Oh, it's a trap.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, if you scratch it, we can see if we won or not, and we can claim our free erotica.
I think I need something to scratch it with.
You need a coin?
Yeah.
Yeah, or a key.
I
have keys hanging up there.
I don't think this is gonna scratch.
What?
It's a fake. Or it's, how old is the book?
1 billion years? Oh, now I'm just peeling up the paper. Yeah, no, this isn't gonna work.
But scratch with metal. You're scratching with plastic. It wasn't invented back then.
Right.
I want my free erotica.
You still with us, Paige? And guest?
Right as you said that, it dropped down to 1.
Oh.
Oh, Paige said good night.
Oh.
That's
fair.
the fucking makers of silhouette here. Like, you gotta rub harder than that if you want it.
That's what he said.
All right. Okay, I found the page I'm looking for.
Okay, I promise this is not working.
All right. Well, I guess
It's probably just an ancient book that.
Well, I guess we can't go to free erotica. We're gonna have to keep going to
scratch that
Habitat
thing
for
and-
Humanity and paying 50 whole cents a book.
You need to
Bullshit.
scratch that in the right decade.
Yeah, it was. Let's actually, when was this? Did this come out? Oh my god, the whole like last 4 pages are just all ads for other books. Here we go. Oh, it's only from 2004, which is, I guess, 20 years ago. So, fuck.
Maybe you have to. You can't just scratch that, that little area. Maybe you have to like bust on it or something.
You have to take it out to a nice dinner first
And
do a bunch of foreplay.
You're a tough man, Mike. Tough and solitary. You want me to share my body. I want you to share your soul.
Cool.
If I don't know why I did her in like a deep southern accent.
Because cowboy erotica is always fun.
You gotta make him even deeper now.
If I did, you might regret it, he said tersely.
You better pray.
And turned to swim away, his strong arms slicing through the water. Something inside her hurt. She wanted him and, against all good judgment, was falling in love with him. She suspected she'd been falling in love with him for some time now, but this morning, with Jessie, had been the final irresistible stroke.
How's that going?
It's great.
Again, if you want the fuck scene, you have to flip 85% through.
Yeah, I found the fuck scene. Don't you worry. I was
Okay.
only 1 page off.
Do you want me to read mine while you flip through yours?
No.
Okay, you ready?
Feeling giddy and lightheaded, Savannah clung to him, wanting to hold him forever.
Savannah.
Still kissing her. He swung her up and wrapped his arms around her tightly. She pulled away to look into his eyes. They held such an... Oh, please.
So do it
proceed,
in a silly voice. It's funny when you do it in a silly voice. I like that.
proceed at your own risk, Mike. I want your heart. I want it all. I want you to stay and never leave. Shh, darling. The future is now. This is what we have and what we want. Oh, yes, she exclaimed, standing on tiptoe to kiss him, fleetingly remembering that he had intended to fly out of Texas and her life forever. Yet here he was in her arms and married to her. Wow, that happened fast. That was like only a page.
Oh,
You proceed at your own risk, Savannah. I want your body. This is fucking weird.
What's the snappy comeback line to that?
Snap.
My body is for nobody.
Actually, it says, Mike, oh please, come love me. I want you to want me, darling.
She
To
didn't read this
really
book.
want me.
Nothing sexier than a woman with a beautiful Southern accent going, Mike, Mike, come make love to me.
Come on, Mike.
Chickens are all asleep, Mike. We got time.
Oh, look at this. They read that book that we were listening to earlier, or because he's about to ask her if she's protected. She says no, and then he says, "I'll take care of it."
Oh, this is the book where they put on a condom.
Yeah, they're putting on a condom.
I remember reading
Oh.
that, and I was like, this is the only book where anyone puts on a condom.
I was gonna say, are you sure it's in Texas? He might just pull out his fucking 6-shooter.
No, he pulls he. Oh wait, what? He puts. Oh, he's getting a packet from his jeans and then returning to her. Oh, okay. I thought he put on the condom and then she was gonna suck his dick, but he hasn't. He's not wearing it. He just pulled it out.
He's keeping it in his pocket.
Yeah.
That's not good for condoms.
No, it's not. The friction's bad for him.
Well, I thought it was like the heat. Like you don't want to warm your condoms.
Yeah, but I thought it was.
I thought it was
both.
a friction.
Because
Yeah.
it like what? Like
You
it rubs
also-
itself raw inside the package.
Yeah, you don't want to wear it out. You're fine to put it in your pocket, but you can't like keep it there, essentially. So if you
Oh,
like brought it over a new one with the intention of banging, what was her name, Savannah?
Mm-hmm.
If you had got it that night, it's fine.
Mike, she gasped,
Mike, Mike.
coming up to take his thick shaft in her mouth and trying to drive him to the same desperation she felt.
Sorry, she was saying this in between, like,
And you-
jams of the thick shaft into her mouth.
And you know Savannah likes it dry.
Heyo. Good one, babe. Yeah, are they?
It's also interesting to see which books include oral sex and which ones don't.
Yes. This one does. I think this one. Oh, please. I think she. Okay. I'm good.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead. Read your part.
So this is the book. So this Become Your Own Matchmaker by some sort of reality host lady. It came with Make Every Man Want You. So when I looked at them, I was like, well, this one is going to be the fucked up one.
Mm-hmm.
This one is going to be the more generic dating advice.
Mm-hmm.
And I would definitely say it's like the polar opposite.
Okay.
So I haven't heavily looked into this one, but there's just some very fun stuff. So in the introduction, she's trying to explain, like, I think like one of the first paragraphs is like, you're probably asking, who the fuck are you? And I was like, yeah, I am. So she's trying to explain, I guess, why she's some sort of love expert. And so she's going through her history. So she talks about her parents, yada, yada, yada. And then about this guy she was dating. That was until one day when I wanted to lose my virginity to him and he got scared. Okay, so I didn't pick the fastest racehorse at the track, but the sexual tension was killing me. Kevin would teach me another important lesson. Let the man lead, even if he goes slow. He gave me the spiel. I just want to be a senior this year and be free. Even though, and she talks a lot about like Judaism here, because I guess she's raised Jewish. So, even though I followed the advice of my wise grandmother, who used to tell me, "Get off the phone after 15 minutes or you'll have nothing else to talk about when you see each other," he grew bored of me. Me, a double Gemini with Moon and Sag. He grew bored of me.
Oh boy.
I was horrified. He wouldn't even answer my phone calls to give me an explanation. This is why members of my club, both male and female, always get feedback on their dates. Talking about her service. Years later, my stoner first love would go off to college, take the standard graduation present of a European backpacking trip, get sidetracked in the Middle East, and become an Orthodox rabbi in Israel. Clearly, he was not my soulmate.
Okay.
Yeah, like he went really hard in the other direction.
Yeah. Sounds like he lived a real rad life, though. So
he sure lived it. And then talks about like what is a soulmate. Here's what it is in Judaism. Oh yeah, like this belief in Judaism. The belief is becoming this world, and God brings us together with our other half. But realistically, there are not enough men for all of the women in the world.
what?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the stats are on that. Feel like, I mean, I don't, you know, there's some variances in terms of like people who are asexual, people who are queer, people who are monks, but like
I was just gonna say,
I feel like it's probably about 50-50.
It's it's slightly. Frick, what was it? It starts out there's slightly more men because they figure the reason why is because the Y chromosome is less heavy.
But why?
Heavy. There's that word again.
So it's easier to make slightly more men. But men die a lot faster than women do.
We do love to have wars.
So it starts out the number of babies is slightly more men, and it's like a small margin more. But then there's fewer. The men die faster, basically. So there's typically more women.
Did you say that the Y chromosome is heavier or less heavy?
Less heavy.
So would
lighter.
Heavy sex be sex between two women because they have the heavier chromosomes?
No, it's where you take your load and you first filter it out.
You filter it out?
So it's just all women shots.
You put it in a centrifuge?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You get only the heavy sperm out.
Gotcha. That checks out.
Mm-hmm.
Science.
You two just keep riffing. This is great.
Yeah. Don't quote me on those stats about gender statistics. That's something I vaguely remember from way back in the day.
In any case, it is a bit of like an odd certainty. It's like there's just not enough men out there. I'm like, I don't know if volume is the problem. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's quality, not quantity. Am I right?
Sure. I mean, I have neither, so it's just I couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she goes on about like her backstory, blah blah blah. Couldn't figure it out. No answers. The only thing that made sense to me was astrology, so I started studying it intensely. I even practiced it professionally for a while as director of marketing for the Kenny Kingston Psychic Network. Hell yeah!
Oh no!
I learned that we only use 10% of our brain if we're lucky. That's extremely true science facts. Will not be taking any responses on it, and that there is a subconscious part of ourselves that we're not aware of, but that is pre-programmed to attract our mates. I'm getting off track though. Now back to the dog pile of my romantic history. The moment of truth finally arrived. I lost my virginity, and the cherry was popped.
Those are the words she wrote.
Only the cherry was not that sweet.
That's what she said.
That's what she wrote. I mean, well, that's what she wrote once it went through, the editors and the publisher.
Why is losing your virginity the moment of truth? What truth are you sussing out?
We're about to find out, I think.
Okay.
I love the alternative rocker, long blonde hair type on the wrong side of the tracks, and had a date with Rocker Rob, but I had a family function to attend an hour before the date. I was trying to make my 10-minute appearance and get out of there. My mother grabbed me and said, "I have the perfect guy for you." As Popsicle Toes by Michael Frank started playing over the speakers, in walked the most icy cold, sexy, outspoken lawyer who looked like he wouldn't take a no for an answer. I've always been a sucker for a take charge guy. He kidnapped me right then and there for a fabulous night in New York City with his friends. I had the time of my life. Rocker Rob was dust. So we really got red herring by Rocker Rob there.
Yeah, and
Oh.
also like, I feel
Okay,
like
wait. So she didn't bang Rob already
Yeah.
before the dinner.
So now we're moving
No,
on to Brian.
She was supposed to meet Rocker Rob after the dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I had
feel
thought
like
that
She
she had
switched
banged Rocker Rob, then went to the dinner, then left him for this lawyer guy. And I was like, holy shit.
that would be even funnier. But
Yeah.
I feel like if you say a man walked in and he looked like he wouldn't take no for an answer, that's
I was
such a
like, we don't
weird
have
red
time. We don't have
flag.
that. Well, he wouldn't take no for an answer. So
And he
he
kidnapped
kidnapped
her.
me. I was like, we don't have time to unpack this.
Okay.
So
Getting kind of a rapey vibe.
Brian.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out what Brian is like. Brian was 4 years older than I was. Our relationship was a bit like a professor teaching a student. Again, we don't have time to unpack this.
Oh my god.
Slowly, seductively, he got me to give up my precious jewel on my 18th birthday in my maid's room while my parents were out of town.
It seems like she had a normal
Also,
everyday
yeah,
human
these are just
experience.
the most awful fucking rich people you can imagine. All of them.
He's already also a lawyer too.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good point. He's a lawyer when she meets him, so that means he's like,
Gone through school. And,
yeah, he's like at least 24, 20, like he's still got to be at least in his
Yeah.
mid-20s, and he's
undergrad
meeting her.
early is 21 to be done that, and then law school. What is that? Fucking 4 more.
I'm not
Yeah,
good at
you
math,
tend.
but I'm good at knowing what the law is.
So he's got a good 8 years on her, maybe.
And
Well, you talk about the law, and she makes a point of saying it was my 18th birthday.
No, I know.
yeah, but he also met her and kidnapped her before that point.
Oh yeah, but this was like, I don't know. This is enough decades ago that this is just how they. This is they didn't
It's just how
care
you
back
met
then.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, go full Drake on him. It's fine.
I think like it's an interesting thing is like when you really dig into how a lot of people have lived their lives, you're like, wow, really?
and that
wow.
that man's name, Justin Roiland.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just imagining. Actually, I want you to imagine the lines that Brian says in the Morty voice. But but
oh jeez.
Oh jeez.
what?
What's her name?
Jeez, he took my precious
Her name
jewel.
is
boy.
Patty. Oh jeez, Patty.
Oh
can't do
jeez,
that
Patty,
voice.
I don't know about this. You really want to give me your precious jewel?
Give me your pickle, Brian.
Yeah, I want your jewel.
Yeah, Morty. Let me give you my precious jewel.
No, it's Brian. Brian, you gotta give me your pickle. You gotta give me your pickle, Brian. So but like like I think sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's an image, but it's like Vince McMahon like reacting progressively more astounded.
Oh,
But in like
I don't think so.
yeah, you've
Yeah.
seen it, the wrestling guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Vince McMahon. Yes, I have.
And I feel like that, except instead of being like increasingly excited, you're just increasingly like cringing or face palming when you're like, he got to give me my precious jewel. Ugh. On my 18th birthday. In my maid's room. Like, it's just layers of psychic damage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
That poor fucking maid. Like, she's already like probably got a shitty job. Well, I don't know. I don't know that I'm judging like a maid's work, but I feel like working for this person in particular.
well, the people
cleaning
are
up after-
fucking in your room when you're not at
Yeah,
work. Yeah, that's the
exactly.
part of your job that sucks.
You're a living maid. You have to have a house in the or a room in the house that you work in, so you're always on duty. You fucking have to deal with these fucking entitled assholes, and then they're fucking in your room.
Yeah.
Good lord.
The main takeaway from this book is that rich people are awful.
Yeah.
Like I think it really sets the tone. I've only dabbled in the rest of the book, but I think it really sets the tone of like every story she gives, every example she gives is just like space alien shit. Where it's like, if the guy's Bugatti is the wrong color, kick him to the curb, honey.
Good lord.
There's also the thing that she said she dated that guy for a while that became a rabbi. But it was when he finished his undergrad, and she dated that guy before.
Yeah.
So she was even younger.
Good lord. Well, yeah. Good for that guy, I guess, for being like, no, I'm okay. I'm gonna go. She just pushed him into a life of God. He's like, oh,
Yep, I can give up pussy after this.
Jesus.
So here's the crossroads we've reached. Brian is about to speak. So I could read it as what it says here is he said with his cold calculated inflection. So I could try to do a cold calculated inflection voice. I could try to do the Morty voice as we suggested. I could do the Jordan Peterson voice. Like, I don't know. What do we want to do? Or just try all of them?
I want the Morty voice.
You want the Morty voice? Oh, jeez. Okay, I'll try it. I'm going to start from the top of this paragraph just to really get the effect. Give me your pickle, Morty. Okay, sorry. Brian was 4 years older than I was. Oh, it tells us the age gap.
Only 4 years.
So he's not a lawyer yet.
Okay.
He probably was like, yeah, basically a lawyer, and he got into law school.
Is Brian the same? Okay, is Brian the same guy that kidnapped her from this family dinner?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what, because it's right after it says the most icy cold,
Brian
sexy, outspoken lawyer. He kidnapped me, fabulous night in New York City with his friends, time of my life. The other guy was dust, and then goes right into Brian was 4 years older than I was.
He's the jewel thief.
So he's since she's talking about her birthday, let's say he's 22.
He got her
Okay.
Pink Panther.
He just got into law school. He's fucking a lawyer. I think a lot of this is just played up in general.
Yeah.
A lot of half remembered shit. Or he said he was 4 years older and he was 12 years older. Like,
Jesus.
who's to say? Okay. We're going to get to this paragraph, I swear to God. Brian was 4 years older than I was. Our relationship was a bit like a professor teaching a student. Slowly, seductively, he got me to give up my precious jewel on my 18th birthday in my maid's room while my parents were out of town. He said with his cold, calculated inflection, "Oh, jeez, isn't this great? This is fucking..."
This is fucking?
Yeah.
That's the end of the sentence.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, this is great.
No, I added the OGs to be Morty.
This is great. This is fucking.
Yeah, I can read it as written. He said with his cold, calculated inflection, "Isn't this great? This is fucking..."
Cold and calculated.
This
Yeah.
is fucking...
That is not words that
You can also imagine in the voice of like, now this is pod racing.
I actually imagined if you fucking, you fucking.
Yeah.
He's like,
This is fucking.
yeah, you fucking.
Nope, not even close. That's making a pie.
All right. When we get to the end of this paragraph, I think we'll tap out of this book.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, did not feel the earth move like Jacqueline Suzanne promised, and I was pissed. It was clear that he and I were not a match, but thanks to oxytocin, I was hooked. Yet as the summer wore on, he slowly stopped calling. Again, my heart was broken, and again, I went to see the wise shaman, my grandmother. She told me, "Honey, to men, one hole is like any other hole. If you hold out long enough for them to get to know you, that's when they'll fall in love." I was totally confused. After all, I had given him the most precious commodity I could give anyone. How could he just ignore me? Again, nobody seemed to have the answers. Back to the drawing board I went.
Referring to your virginity
blah,
as
blah.
a commodity?
I know she's all kinds of fucked up. This lady.
If we're being charitable, she might have just meant sex is the most precious commodity, but it's only like 10% less weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's
that's kind of the vibe of the...
Jesus Christ.
That's kind of the vibe of the introduction to this book. But yeah, I just feel like compared to that other one, this one, the Make Every Man Want You, this one is far more like,
yeah, that's fair.
Weird values, just weird people having weird relationships.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the classic like this like rich person who has never experienced real life is like, you know what I need to do? Give people advice, and I can afford to like get a book published, so I'm gonna go do that. And then like writes about her life as though it's like super relatable.
I'm gonna go write a book about how I got fucking plowed in my parents' house
in the maid's room.
and then complain about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vibe to me is very much like hey, the Nielsen ratings in your reality show are like the highest that they've ever been, and will probably go downhill from here. This is the summer to get you a book deal. How quickly can you write a book?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should watch this show and see what she's like.
I don't want to do
No,
that.
that's okay.
It's your call, or is it? The phone can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I think inappropriate phone behavior sabotages more budding relationships than just about anything, and the same applies to text messaging. In the embryonic stages of a dating relationship, first through sixth date, the most important thing to remember about the phone is not to use it too much. See, this is this is the same as the other one where it's like, don't be too needy. Don't let them know that you like them. That's bad. Men and women feel differently about phone calls. For the most part, a man uses his phone for business, whether it's the business of setting up a meeting, buying or selling stock, or making a date.
Right. It's true. I have my
Totally.
business dates.
Yep, that's a business.
Hell
To a
yeah.
woman, the phone is a social tool. We use it to chat, share our feelings, hear each other's voices, and relate. I mean, everyone uses the phone to hear another person's voice. That's what a fucking phone is for. You never want to be seen as an interruption or a burden, and you'll have no way of knowing when he's really ready to speak with you unless he calls you. When a man calls you, that's a good sign. A smart man knows that a woman falls in love between her ears and realizes it's crucial for you to hear his voice in order for him to charm you.
Like, isn't this exactly the content you expected from the book called Make Every Man Want You?
Yes.
That's kind of why.
Yeah.
You can see why in the context of this book, I read this book and I'm like, this one is like, have your own hobbies, have your own life. Like, comparatively, it's wholesome. I think this is the most wholesome book in the whole pile.
What was that
Make
other
Every Man
book
Want You.
that there was a meme of where it was the same sort of thing where it's like maybe that is this book actually, where it was something like how to get boys to like you, and then it was just like the message was get to like yourself instead.
Yeah, learn to girls like boys, or boys like girls too, and then the inside
Like
was-
themselves.
like themselves. Yeah. This he who calls has the most interest and the least control. If you were in the middle of a business deal, would you hound the buyer with phone calls, constantly asking how he was feeling, when you would be seeing him again, etc.? I think not. Simply put, calling a man more than he calls you means that you like him more than he likes you, and you've lost your power.
This is straight out of fucking what's it called? That like fucking
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking
totally.
about. The stuff with like pickup artists.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're talking about you want to seem aloof and not talk very often, and
Yeah,
for every word
exactly.
that they say, or for every three they say, you're supposed to only give back two.
Yeah.
It's very much like I mean, these kinds of books operate in a very, like, I would say pretty rigid, like heteronormative, gender binary, all that.
Yeah.
And so, speaking within that context, I do think that this kind of book, it's not anywhere near as awful, but it plays to the same kind of, almost the exact same sort of like stereotypically driven logic that the pickup artist book do, where, like, when you talk about like the advice her grandmother was giving her of like, oh, you have to hold out for exactly this long, like you have to hold out for a week and a half, and after that point he's hooked. And then the men's pickup advice book is like, you have to score her in a week and a half, otherwise she's got you on the hook. Like they are saying the same thing and like perpetuating a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah,
Not
they're
not
making it
100%
into
overlap, but
yeah, they're making it into a power struggle. It's not like hey, if you like someone, then like be honest about your emotions and do what feels right and like go with your gut. It's like
Make sure you get the upper hand on them.
Yes, you need to be constantly worried about whether or not this person is getting
trying
one
to
over on
fuck
you. Yeah.
Well, this is
Yeah.
a thing that's come up for me in conversations about relationships with people. Like one example was this person that I met through. Oh, something exciting is happening.
Oh, sorry.
This is the 10 commandments of dating. And
Ooh,
the
a
10th
list.
one
We
is-
love a bulleted list.
Oh,
Let's
the
do it.
rest of them are like whatever.
Also, just be mindful you don't hit the book on the cable because that makes noise.
Oops. Yeah, one of these is thou shalt not become intimate on the first date. And it's the same thing. It's a power struggle thing. If you're interested in him, there's nothing wrong with a little nookie, and by that I mean hugs and kisses. But if this one isn't as a potential keeper,
No heavy sex.
yeah, no heavy sex until the 6th date. It's best if he's a potential keeper. It's best to take it slow and get to know him first, or at least for at least 3 months, or until, in the sober light of day, he suggests a monogamous relationship. How many times have you heard that desperate? But of course you're the only one. While he's frantically fumbling with your bra after one too many margaritas. Oh, that sounds a little too like on the nose for that to be off like something that you made up.
Yeah, no, she's talking about exactly her life.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't assume you're monogamous just because you're seeing a lot of each other. Until you have the conversation about exclusivity, just assume he's going out with other women. And by the way, as long as you are not exclusive, you have the right to date as many other men as you want. I advise you to exercise that right. Also, don't think you can get around this rule with a blowjob. In my estimation, in is in. It's all sex to me and to him. I don't give a fucking shit about your stupid Puritan rules.
Hang on, back up.
Yeah.
You're telling me that instead of just assuming things about a relationship, I should communicate them and find out? You're more fucked up than the book is.
Yeah, right? Bizarre.
How would you get the upper hand on the person if you revealed your position?
Yeah, that's not very Sun Tzu of you.
Yeah, exactly. You need to like everything is chess.
Yeah.
And if it's
Absolutely. Yeah, fucking weird shit.
The Sun Tzu thing is
Also-
very funny because like I've heard like people who kind of understand military stuff talk about it, and they're like, if you've ever actually read Art of War, it's like, you should attack when your enemy can't see you, and like it's some sort of incredibly brilliant thing, and it's just like fight battles when you have larger numbers and avoid battles when you have smaller numbers. Like there's nothing particularly like groundbreaking in it. It's just like extremely obvious truisms.
Yeah,
But you know, like people who have like these like how to pick up women books on the shelf are like, I think it's more of like a dude thing, but just this style of like everything in your life is a strategy. These people have fucking Sun Tzu's Art of War on their bookshelf as well.
Yes. I have one question, and then I think I want to hear your guys' opinion on it. But I read somewhere, I've like seen a few things that have been like, because like people like if you're talking about bases, people normally are like, okay, kissing, like hand stuff, oral sex, then sex, right? Like if you're talking like working your way up, I've seen a few things now that are like, no, like a blowjob is way more intimate than like penetrative sex. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think once you're mashing genitals against a genital or a mouth, you're maybe I'm just too utilitarian, but I'm like, you're now into the like.
So you're with Patty here. You're like, in is in.
I'm saying in is in, but if for no other reason than like you are now at the point where you can like catch gonorrhea. So you've crossed a threshold of intimacy and like some hopefully based on level of like communication and trust.
Kind of think that maybe I guess there is kind of a progression. I would be more progression based when it's like, especially when it was either older times or it's your first time.
What do you mean older times?
Like that 70s book.
Oh,
there where they're like, you want to do something and you need to find a loophole,
yeah,
or something like that. That there for sure will be a progression like that where oral is less than putting it in you, chucking it in. I just in isn't in.
Hmm.
I guess I would say that like in any kind of relationship, and I use that word very loosely, like just having some sort of like intimacy with someone is a relationship. But like in the kind of like healthier dynamics I've experienced, the exact mechanics of like what's touching what are less important than like, all right, we're doing stuff with each other. Maybe today it's this, maybe tomorrow it's this, but like,
Yeah, I think I agree nowadays when it's like not as big of a deal.
because the one time I
Anymore?
can really think of where it felt like that quote like progression was there, was, you remember that kind of weird shithead I was dealing with this summer, and like with her, like she was like, we did a bunch of hand stuff and then like one time mouth stuff, but she was always like very not, but we never actually had sex. And like I guess I have no value judgments to put on it other than this person who like from their own descriptions engaged with really toxic dynamics with like, you know, that previous situation she was in. And at the end of it, looking back, I felt like it was a very toxic dynamic with me because I was being like kicked around in all these weird ways. Like I don't make that kind of like distinction necessarily, but I could feel that distinction being placed.
Hmm.
And so like when I was like, oh, this person will do this but not this, to them it's a progression in a hierarchy. And like the mechanics of it to me are like, yeah, like in is in, getting off is getting off, getting somebody else's off, getting somebody else off, whatever. But like when you can feel like, I guess, the intent of what the other person is doing, that feeling of like, I will do this but not do this. And when someone is like with you for a certain amount of time and is like, I won't do this, I won't do this, I won't do this, like to me what you really feel is this person is making a point of withholding something. And I think you could swap that out with anything. If you're like, this person will go to the zoo with me but not to the movie theater, like, and this is a real big progression in their head, and they're like really like trying to run you through this like series of, like, to me what's in that book of like, you need to like gain the upper hand on people and like put them through the motions. Then I think you would begin to feel like those bases would fill out in your head, I guess is what I'm saying, where like you didn't have this value before, but once somebody is bringing this to you, you're like, oh fuck, man, I can't get her to go with the movie theater with me. We just keep going to the zoo and we're stuck at that point. I don't know if that's a cohesive point or anything, but I guess the main thought that I had was like, I've only really felt this real like compartmentalization with people that felt like they were engaging in more toxic dynamics, and people who are a lot more like comfortable and healthy in the way our dynamic was just sort of like things just happened very smoothly and didn't run into a lot of like walls. I don't know. Maybe that makes less than no sense.
Oh, I'm just thinking. I don't know.
Where do you stand?
What?
Where do you stand?
Oh, I was gonna go into a whole explanation of like how much closer your face is to someone's asshole when you're giving them a blowjob, but totally. Yeah.
Actually, the only thing that matters is proximity of face to asshole.
Yeah.
So like if you were cuddling someone
ratio.
head to ass and no touching, it's still more intimate.
So that means the most intimate thing is a 69.
No, the most intimate thing is eating ass.
Oh, I guess.
Or if you can pull it off, mutual ass eating.
I was gonna say ass 69.
How?
I don't know.
Gene Simmons tongue. It depends on like maybe your spinal flexibility or various hip flexibilities.
I guess that's
I haven't tried it, but now I'm inclined to.
Cranked your head forward all the way around.
Yeah, you're kind of reaching past each other's pelvises.
You both have to be like those stretchy gymnasts or contortionists.
Or if one of you is really tall.
Stretchy gymnasts?
Yeah.
I'm never going to call them anything else ever again.
I couldn't think of the word. Contortionist.
We all dream of a stretchy gymnast. The one thing I really want to say real quick, because we can wrap it up at some point, was both of you were saying things to the effect of like like getting the upper hand or like trying to maneuver. Like there was a whole bunch of phrases you both used that were really useful. And this happened in like the way that same person we were talking about, like the way I was trying to explain relationships of like, yeah, it sounds like the relationship you had is like, I see this a lot in people, but it's almost like people see relationships as fundamentally adversarial. And to me, like a relationship, if it works, is fundamentally collaborative. It's like, what are we going to do together that will work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you apply that to like, what bit are we mashing into what other bit? It's like, well, what do we both want right now? What is the thing that satisfies both of us, that stays within both of our boundaries? Like the way you approach it is collaborative. The very idea of having like one person is putting another through a progression, or one person trying to navigate another person's like series of whatever, it's immediately not a collaborative thing anymore. It's an adversarial thing. And I just see that in like couples that just like bicker like openly, because that's what I see in that is just they're always trying to get the upper hand on each other, or they can't back down, or they can't like, if somebody says something that's even like 1 degree off base for you, it's not, oh, why are they saying that, or what can I do to communicate with them right now? It's like, what do they want from me? And then you like dig in, and then you just bicker. But when I see people bicker, I'm like, you're fighting over nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've had that conversation with a few people. Like, did I tell you about, how do I explain this concisely? There was like somebody I met on an app. We didn't end up becoming a thing, but then it was kind of like being like, quote, friends. But she would text me about her relationship stuff. And it was like wholly off the chain, like how unhealthy a lot of her stuff seemed. A lot of like, she was like going to like codependency meetings and all these things. Like Codependence Anonymous, which I thought like was a joke when she told me, but it's a real thing. Yeah, there's groups for everything. And yeah, so basically like it started being like, okay, like I see this as somebody who's just really like lonely and insecure and is telling me about like, oh, I need a man, my ovaries are drying up, like this stuff she said. And it's all like, oh, okay, I'm empathetic towards this. But then she would describe the way she would treat some of the guys she was dating. And then she'd be like, oh, he's ignoring me. What should I text him to make him upset so he'll pay attention to me? And I'm like, okay, like, listen to what you're saying. But we were just so fucking far apart on everything. Cause I'm like, eventually I was like, the problem is you see relationships as adversarial. Like it's a competition. It's not something you cooperate at. And that is why we're having completely different conversations in a completely different language.
Even in that specific case, it's you have to somehow manipulate the person to get what you want out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to undermine their like free
agency.
will. Yeah.
You're just trying to. It's almost like a dog trying to get its treat, and just fucking sneak treats.
So yeah, the freeform erotica jam really did turn into the sincerity hour.
Yeah.
But I wonder if we should cap it off with getting into a little bit into one of these romance novels again.
Yeah.
Because I do have.
I see you've outlined some passages.
Oh yeah. I don't know if we'll touch on all of it, but here's one. Let's start with this. All right.
We're not going to touch on all of it. Just
no, you can only touch one portion tonight, and then the next episode we can touch the next portion. Wow. It's a progression.
Right. That
You're withholding from us already.
Yeah, I'm withholding content. I have a completely different view of content from the way I view sex. Okay. It's gonna edit all that out. So just a quick like summary of all these romance novels, right? There's a lot of patterns that I've noticed. I've talked about some of them. Another one is like people love for characters to be really like aristocratic. So like if it's a medieval book, they have to be like lords and ladies, right? If it's set in modern times, like a lot of them are just like they're always living in mansions, or they're always fucking in the maid's room. Like there is a lot of overlap. Like it's there's never any poor people fucking in these romance novels, unless it's like one person who's like trying to enter the world of these people. So everyone is always named like Bartholomew and like Elizabetha and like Lord Prancibald. So many people just calling each other like my lord.
Lord Prancibald.
Yeah. Like I have flipped through many more books than I bought because you're like anything good. And you just keep,
My lord.
people are always like, oh, my lord, my lord. Because like people love that kind of like vague high fantasy setting or something like kind of Victorian. So on that note, this book I think is set in 1899, like modern book, right? Like 20-year-old book set in 1899. And so this book is called The Seduction of Ellen.
Good.
Which just Ellen as one name, I feel like is a very different connotation now.
That's my granny's name.
Okay, I was gonna say like, Ellen DeGeneres, like you just like, oh, Ellen, one name, that's who that is.
The book is straight to the point. The title, anyway.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, Ellen I feel like a lot of the romance novels have like certain vibes to the names. Like they tend to be the women's names tend to be very like flowery. I don't think Ellen is the most flowery, right? It's fine, right? Her name is Ellen Cornelius, so that's where you get the the real like scion to the Kentucky Fried Chicken fortune kind of shit. But okay, I can like her name isn't Francesca, it's Ellen. Fine. The dudes also tend to have some kind of sexy name, right? Like, I wish I had more examples.
Like Ryan?
Sure.
Something
like
vaguely European.
Who have we got in here? There's a guy named Rory. That's not too bad. We've got like
Mike.
Reginald.
Here's
Colonel Mike Remington.
Here's a lady named Summer.
Colonel and Remington.
Mr. Burke, Ruark, right? So those are the names you're getting. So I'm going to read this paragraph and I'm going to omit his name the first time, just use a pronoun here. And I want you to try to imagine what you think this guy's name is. And like, these people are like, they're on a fucking train across America or something. This dude's name is Mr. Corey for most of the name until she gets into his first name. It's 1899. They're all rich aristocrats. Okay. So he lay restless and perspiring on his bed, thinking of Ellen. Over and over, he envisioned her, silently slipping into his room in the darkness, to tell him she couldn't stand to spend another moment out of his arms. He could almost see her undressing in the shadows before walking naked and enticing to his bed. He could almost hear her softly whisper, "Let's make love, Steve."
Oh. Wow,
Steve. Yeah. So, spoiler, they do make love. And it just keeps saying like, "Oh, let's make love, Steve." And so like this is that's the one chapter where it ends with him fantasizing about it. And then it comes up again like they go like take a nap together somewhere. They're taking like a nap in a cave for some reason.
Cute.
Neither
like how we met.
Neither could seem to get comfortable. Both squirmed and wiggled and fidgeted. They continued to lie there together, their taut bodies brushing and pressing, their hearts beating as one. It was no use. Their need for each other was too potent, too powerful. Steve finally gave up. He opened his eyes and saw that Ellen was looking at him. "I can't sleep with you lying here in my arms," he said. "I can't either." She gave him a dazzling smile and then said the words he was longing to hear. "Let's make love, Steve."
You just fantasize about that forever. That's a classic. Oh yeah, we're in the wilderness and it's cold. We better cuddle up.
Yep.
Yeah, like how we met.
Yeah.
All right. Well, did we do it? There is a sex scene, but maybe we'll save that for later.
Yeah.
We'll save third base for the next time.
Yeah.
But here's a little forward sizzle. It goes into great detail describing their pubes. So this is also a theme in the books. All of these books are like, we have to describe their pubes. So.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's all about that bush.
I
guess they are in the bush.
Yeah. Oh, that was one we didn't get to in the Lines book. But basically, there's this line. So I was mentioning there's a whole bunch of them about how the guy's always like, "Oh baby, I'm cold." Like even the fucking song, "Oh, it's cold outside," or it's like, "Oh, it's winter right now," or it's warmer in my bedroom or whatever. But there's this one where it's like, "Yeah, the heating to my place has been shut off. Maybe we should go to my bed and warm each other up."
Good lord.
It's like, I don't think that like I haven't paid my utility bills and I've been cut off is like the real seductive line you think it is.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yep.
Neat. Thanks for tuning in, one viewer that may or may not be David? Question mark.
I like to believe he tuned in and immediately fell asleep.
That was my thought for if it was even just a regular person watching.
I mean, what is a
They
regular
just-
person?
But they tuned in and then they walked away from their computer and they forgot they left it on.
Well, if they did, they missed an excellent show.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what's in the chat?
It's just Paige stuff saying she's gonna go to bed.
Oh.
Am I just not getting?
I'm gonna go to the washroom.
Right. Night.
End button.
End button?
Virtual camera.